touched on this as well, Jesse, that a lot of times reporters are doing some of their own, or they're doing PR essentially for themselves or for their news organizations. And Amanda, you had something to say about that?
Yeah, I don't think that's the best use of resources, because journalists are journalists, PR people are PR people. Some people don't like to post on social media, so you're forcing them to. So I'm sure their posts are really engaging if they're being forced to do it. But if there was, and I don't mean like a sales or marketing person that comes out of the sales, shop. I'm talking like a PR person embedded in a newsroom that goes around to everybody that, says, okay, I'm going to promote this. I think that Washington Post obviously has a really great promotion. I mean, they're promoting themselves really well as, democracy dies in darkness. So that's kind of their, right now that's kind of their guiding principle. So they have like a promotion plan. And I mean, I would hate to be a reporter and be working on it, like, oh crap, I need to post to Facebook. Okay, I'm gonna do this twice a day. So if there was like a PR person that was embedded in newsrooms that could actually help them with that, that could be wittier with the posts, and maybe like it's a professional page, so they're actually an admin on Michael's page or Nicole's page or whatever. Because it's just a slightly different skill set. And PR people typically, we like to go out and talk to people and be really social and all that, and not every journalist is like that. They're not just, all naturally really social creatures like Gerald Way. Oh, sorry, I keep making fun of Gerald. He's not. So someone to actually like promote your news, to put some of those dollars behind it, to put like a social media campaign behind your reporters, because again, they're being asked to post to the web, make a video, do this, live stream this, blah, blah, blah. So that there was just someone who made sure that all the really good stories were being promoted that day. And again, not someone from the sales shop. No, not one of the sales and marketing people in a newspaper, but someone who's embedded in the newsroom whose sole job is to go around and be a hype man for everybody.
And where I'm sorry, just to follow up on that, so where would they be promoting the...
I think on social platforms, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever. And I mean, I think that there are news people who do a good job of making sure the news is posted, and it's, a short synopsis or basically a second headline of what's going on. But, I mean, I don't always want to, I'm not always engaged to click, and I don't necessarily see stuff from all the reporters. And but if somebody was just like a hype man inside the newsroom that promoted on all those different social platforms.
I would say, I just had this thought, I've never thought about it this way, but if you compare your typical media organization in Tulsa and look at the number of employees and the size company that it is and everything else to a non-news company, my bet is that news organizations are disproportionately under-resourced in the marketing and public relations staff allocation and investment compared to somebody else with however many employees you want to talk about. And I've never really thought about that really until just now. Maybe the need hasn't been there. And it's, culturally, we've kind of spent the last however many decades thinking that, particularly, reporters and PR people, it's like this total opposite thing, and they're like oil and water, and that at least makes the PR people sad, but I don't know about, journalists. But I mean, I think that's an interesting thought of opening your mind up and thinking, what would it look like to have a traditional public relations, person who's really thinking about that stuff? And I would agree, not from the sales shop, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I think salespeople are often, and when I talk about monetizing social media, one of my challenges has been, as I've talked to salespeople and I pitch that idea, I'm like, how can we, for this campaign, make that happen? The answer I get is, well, we've got web banners, we've got, I'm like, no, on the social media, how can I have some of your people, well, we have newsletters that go out that you can, on our emails, and I'm like, no, don't sell me your existing inventory, think about creating new stuff, is where I think that is, just a...
Because I think PR shops like ours have done a really good job at adapting to the changing media landscape, but I don't think media has done a good job adapting to it. Like, we've learned, how to directly reach our people and not have to utilize news media, which on one hand makes me kind of sad, because I love journalism, I love the craft, I think it's really, really important to a democracy and a free society. Then on the other hand, you know, we have a job to do too, and sometimes when somebody else takes your stuff up and they chew it up and then they spit it back out for everybody else, it doesn't sound the way you want it to sound, and it may not always be accurate, or they didn't tell the whole story, or, you know, whatever. And that's, again, I don't fault necessarily news for that, because everybody has a job to do and everybody's strapped. But at the same time, like, I have my mission too. But I think on the flip side, news has not done a good job at, you know, promoting themselves. And like I said, really good content is going to get people there. But, you know, promotion and having like a hype man in your newsroom will help even more.
So listening to you guys talk, something that comes to mind for me, working in a newsroom for 15 years, is that, and I say this to people, when people ask me what it's like leaving news and getting into, starting a show from scratch, I always say, you have a newsroom that is a well-oiled machine. It is an all-encompassing, it is just, there are walls around you and everything happens within those walls, and you don't really go outside for very much. And everything is there. You step in as a reporter and you become a cog in the wheel. And when you start a TV show like ours, like we invented the wheel, and things like that. So when I hear you guys talk about this, and maybe say embed a PR person, I just wonder if you think that it's time for newsrooms, TV, newspaper, to kind of look at their structure of their newsroom differently altogether, where it's not so much like a well-oiled machine where it's everybody works within these walls and you don't really go outside for very much. Do you think it would be useful to go outside of your employees? Does that make sense?
Yeah.